Hello student, welcome back to our MSc First Physics semester 2nd course, that is atoms and molecules, and our subject code is PHCT 122, and this is our 11th lecture, and we are studying our third module of this course, that is spectroscopic techniques. And in that module we have three different spectroscopic techniques, and in our previous lecture we have started the microwave spectroscopy, that is the first type of the spectroscopic techniques, and we discuss about the introductory part of the microwave spectroscopy. Also we have studied the principle of the microwave spectroscopy. After that, which molecules are microwave active and which molecules are micro inactive, all those things we have covered in our previous lecture, and how we conclude or how we distinguish the microwave inactive molecule and microwave active molecule with the help of dipole moment. So all those things we have covered in our previous lecture, and also we have discussed about the microwave spectrometer, that means how we get the spectra with the help of microwave spectrometer of the given sample. So all those things we have covered in our previous lecture. Now in this lecture we have to discuss about the different things or different information we get from the rotational spectroscopy or microwave spectroscopy. But what are the all those things? So we have to discuss in this lecture. So let's start. Information derived from the rotational spectra and analysis of microwave absorption by H2O. That means we have to discuss about the information which is derived from the rotational spectra, that means from the microwave spectra, and analysis of microwave absorption by H2O. That means how the microwave gets absorbed by the H2O molecule. First, we will discuss about the information derived from the rotational spectra. So let's start with the information derived from the rotational spectra. We know that we have or we can study the different physical as well as the different chemical properties also with the help of microwave spectroscopy, and we get the information, detailed information about that particular sample. So first we get the information about the molecular structure of that sample. So perhaps the most important information that one can get from rotational spectra is the details about a molecular structure. That means if we expose the sample to the microwave spectroscopy, then we get the spectra of that sample. That means we get the transmission spectra or absorption spectra depending on the sample or our interest. So after placing that sample in a microwave spectrometer, we get the information about the molecular structure from their spectra. So this is the study of molecular structure. Rotational constant can be obtained with very high accuracy. That means from this spectra we can obtain the rotational constant with a very high accuracy. Information about the position of atoms in a molecule is obtained from the following three rotational constant, from which three principal moments of inertia, that is Ia, Ib and Ic of the molecule can be obtained. That means we get the three different rotational constant. In general, the formula for the rotational constant is B is equal to h upon 8 pi square Ic just, and the unit of the rotational constant is a centimeter inverse. But here we have three different rotational constant and corresponding three different principal moments, that is Ia, Ib and Ic. So for the principal moment, that is I, the corresponding rotational constant is given by A is equal to h upon 8 pi square IAC, and the unit of this is a centimeter inverse. The second rotational constant is a B is equal to h upon 8 pi square IB into C, and unit is also centimeter inverse. Next rotational constant is the C is equal to h upon 8 pi square IC into C, and unit is again centimeter inverse, where h is the Planck constant and the notation for the rotational constant are here three different notation, that is A, B and C, and the corresponding moment of inertia are Ia, Ib and Ic, and where 8 pi square is a constant. So in this way we can define three different rotational constant corresponding to three different principal moments of inertia. In diatomic molecule, there is only one observable principal moment of inertia, which along with the atomic masses gives the interatomic distance. We know that if we consider the two molecules and they are attached with the help of spring, then they get vibrate according to when we compress or relax that string. So there we will get the vibration, or we can simply call it as a spin mass system. So in that we get the interatomic distance, that means the distance between these two atoms. And if we consider the first mass is the m1 and the second mass is the m2, and according to that we can define the reduced mass system. So two body problem is converted into one body problem, then the reduced mass concept is introduced. So here we have the reduced mass, that is a mu, and interatomic distance is the small r, and I is the moment of inertia, and where r is the radius of that particular molecules. So the moment of inertia is given by I is equal to mu r square, and from that we can write or rearrange the equation for r, and then we can write r is equal to in bracket I into in bracket 1 upon m1 plus 1 upon m2 bracket complete, and the square bracket is also completed, where m1 is a mass of first molecule, m2 is a mass of second molecule, I is a moment of inertia, and r is the distance between, that is our interatomic distance. So in this way, if we have the mass of the molecules and the moment of inertia is known, then we can calculate the interatomic distance from that information. So where m1 and m2 are the masses of two atoms. So in this way we can obtain three different rotational constant and corresponding moment of inertia, and also we are able to calculate the interatomic distance with the help of rotational spectroscopy. Now the second quantity is the dipole moment, that is this quantity dipole moment. Precise determination of electric dipole moment is possible from the microspectroscopy by measurement of Stark effect, as already mentioned in our instrumentation of microspectrometer. There is a Stark effect, and this Stark effect help us to determine the electric dipole moment from the microspectroscopy. So Stark effect is very important in the microspectroscopy. Arrangements exist to measure dipole moment values as low as 0.05 dBi. The unit of the dipole moment is the dBi, and the lowest value of this dipole moment can be measured, that is a 0.05 dBi, with the help of rotational spectroscopy. Moreover, Stark effect data gives the value of dipole moment in the appropriate vibrational level. That means we know that in atom there are different electronic levels. The electronic levels consist the vibrational level, and the again vibrational level consists the rotational levels. So these all are the different levels in a particular atoms or molecules. So here moreover Stark effect data gives the value of moment of dipole moment in appropriate vibrational level. That means the preferably in the vibrational level. So in vibrational level we get the appropriate value of the dipole moment according to the Stark effect data. Dipole moments can also throw light on the nature of the molecular bonds. That means in between the two molecules there is a bond. So the dipole moment also focus on the molecular bonds. The table on the next slide includes the dipole moment values of some of the molecules determined by the microwave spectroscopy. That means from the microwave spectroscopy we can determine the dipole moment, and these values of this dipole moment is listed in this table. That means this table. So this table. So first column is the molecule, second column is the bond length, third column is the bond angle, and last column is the, that is the fourth one, dipole moment. The unit of the dipole moment is a dBi and the unit of the bond length is a angstrom. So first molecule is the H2O. H2O means the water molecule. The water molecule has a bond length that is a 0.958 angstrom and it has a bond angle that is a 104 degree and 30 minute. So this is the bond angle for the water molecule and the dipole moment is given by 1.846 dBi. Similarly for the CH3Cl, that is the methyl chloride, the bond length for the molecules, that is the bond length between C and H, that is a carbon and hydrogen, which is the 1.095 angstrom, and for the C and Cl, that means the bond length between the C and Cl molecule is 1.781 angstrom. Similarly, the bond angle is 109 degree, but this bond angle is according to HCH, and the dipole moment for this molecule is given by 1.869 dBi. For the NF3 molecule, the bond length is 1.371 angstrom and the bond angle is 103 degree, and for the again dipole moment is 0.234 dBi. So all those values calculated from the microspectroscopy. Similarly for the NH3 molecule, the bond length is given by 1.090 angstrom and the bond angle is 107 degree 20 minute and the dipole moment is 1.468 dBi. Similarly for the FCl molecule, the bond length is 1.6281 angstrom and there is no mention of the bond angle, but the dipole moment is 0.88 dBi. So all those information can be obtained from the microspectroscopy. So here we are able to calculate the dipole moment of the different molecule with the help of microwave spectroscopy. Now the third quantity we can measure with the help of microspectroscopy is the atomic mass. The very high resolution possible in a microwave spectroscopy allows it use for the determination of atomic masses. That means with the help of microspectroscopy we are able to obtain the very high resolution, and due to that property we are able to determine the atomic masses. The rotational spectra of molecules and isotopes gives the B and B prime, where prime refers to the isotope molecule. That means if we consider a particular molecule and again we consider the isotope of that molecule, then we have corresponding two rotational constant. For the molecule the rotational constant is B, and for the isotope of that molecule the rotational constant is denoted by B prime. So according to that we get two rotational constant, that is first is the for molecule, that is B is equal to h upon 8 pi square IC, again unit is a centimeter inverse, and for the isotope of the molecules the rotational constant is given by, that is a B prime is equal to h upon 8 pi square I prime C, and again unit is the centimeter inverse. So for the isotope molecule the rotational constant is a B prime and the moment of inertia is a I prime. So if we take the ratio of these two quantities then we can get, so B upon B prime, so similar quantity get cancelled with each other, that is a h upon 8 pi square C get cancelled with each other and we left with only I prime upon I, and if we substitute the value of I, we know that the value of I is nothing but the, that is I is equal to mu r square, where mu is the reduced mass and r is the radius of that particular atom. So here I is the moment of inertia. So if we substitute the value of I, then we get the mu and r square. The radius of this atom is will be same, but the masses will be different due to these all are the isotopes. So here we have to take for the I is a mu and for the I prime is the mu prime. So here we get for the I prime, here we can write mu prime, and for I we can write mu according to that relation. That means I is directly proportional to mu. So according to that we can write this relation. So in this way we can calculate the mu, if we know the value of mu prime from which the mass of the isotope may be estimated. That means if we have the value of mu and from that we can calculate mu prime, and all those things gives us the information about the mass of that particular isotope. Now in this way we are able to calculate the atomic mass of that particular molecule with the help of microspectroscopy or rotational spectroscopy. Now the fourth parameter is the nuclear dipole, nuclear quadrupole moment. We know that the nucleus has a quadrupole moment, and the measurement of the quadrupole hyperfine structure in the molecules gives the quantity, that is a E square Q, capital Q, the quadrupole coupling constant. That means if we measure the quadrupole hyperfine structure in the molecule, and this structure gives rise us the value, that is a E square small q into capital Q, and this is nothing but the quadrupole coupling constant. For the evaluation of small e into capital Q, a knowledge of the quantity Q is necessary, which can be estimated by other studies. That means if we want to calculate the value of Q, then we need another process, or we can estimate this value with the help of other process, but here there is no necessary. So if we know the value of Q, then we can evaluate the quantity, that is E into Q. So in this way we get the value of quadrupole coupling constant. However, a knowledge of Q is not necessary for the determination of the ratios of quadrupole moment of different isotopes of the same element, and these can be precisely evaluated from the microwave measurements. That means all those things we can calculate from the microwave measurements. So we get the quadrupole, nuclear quadrupole moment for the different isotopes of the same element. Some of the important nuclear quadrupole moments determined from the microwave spectra are listed in the table. That means with the help of microwave spectroscopy we can obtain the nuclear quadrupole moment, and all those values is listed in this table. So first column indicates the different nuclei, and the second column is the corresponding quadrupole moment, and which is in the 10 to the power minus 24 order, and the unit is a centimeter square. So for the boron, and with the atomic number, that is a boron has a boron with the mass number is a 10. That means here there are two isotopes of the boron, that is a boron 10 and boron 11, and for those two isotopes we have the two different values of the quadrupole moment. For the boron 10, the value of quadrupole moment is the 0.06 into 10 to the power minus 24 centimeter square. For the boron 11, we have the value, that is a 0.03 into 10 to the power minus 24 centimeter square. For the nitrogen, that is a 14N, we have the value, that is a 0.02 into 10 to the power minus 24 centimeter square. And for the oxygen, that is a O17, we have the value which is a negative value, that is a minus 0.005 into 10 to the power minus 24 centimeter square. For the chlorine, that is a 35Cl, we have the value, again this value is also negative, that is a minus 0.066 into 10 to the power minus 24 centimeter square. So all those the different values for the different nuclei of the quadrupole moment we can obtain from the microwave spectroscopy. So in this way we get the different values of the particular sample or molecule with the help of microwave spectroscopy. That means we are able to calculate the nuclear quadrupole moment, atomic masses, dipole moment, as well as we are able to obtain the information about the molecular structure of given sample with the help of rotational spectroscopy or microwave spectroscopy. Now the absorption of electromagnetic radiation by water molecule depends on the state of water. We know that generally water found in a different state, that is a liquid, solid and gaseous state. The gaseous means in the form of vapor, solid means in the form of ice, and liquid means normal water. So depending on the state of water, there is absorption of the electromagnetic radiation. That means there is absorption of the microwave radiation, and which depend on the state of the water. Liquid water has no rotational spectrum but does absorb the microwave region. That means the liquid water does not show any rotational spectrum but it absorbs the microwave region. So in this way we can analyze the H2O by absorption of the microwave spectroscopy, and also we are able to study the different characteristics about the H2O molecule with the help of microwave spectroscopy. So in this way we have covered the information obtained from the rotational spectra and the analysis of H2O by absorption of the microwave radiation. So from the rotational spectroscopy or the microwave spectroscopy we are able to measure the different parameters. So all those things we have covered in this lecture. Now in our upcoming lecture we will continue with the new topic. So